Verna, you've been previously placed under oath. You're still under oath. Proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon again, Detective.
Good afternoon.
This morning we talked about the fact that you were assigned to investigate the murder of Fabio Sementilli along with your partner. Who was that in this case?
Jean Paré.
Your Honor, I have a photograph of Detective Parshall. May it be marked as People's 21, which I believe is next in order.
It is, and it may.
Your Honor, for purposes of the record, it's People's 21, and it has a 24 in the bottom left corner. Sir, do you recognize who is depicted in this photograph?
I do.
And who is that?
That's Jean Paré.
Okay. He was your partner on this case?
He was.
Okay. Now, when you got to the scene, you told us earlier you got there at approximately 8:10 at night. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you were there until sometime around 2:30 in the morning?
Roughly.
When you were at the scene, were there other homicide detectives from Valley Bureau Homicide with you?
There were.
Okay. And was a supervisor also at the scene?
Multiple.
Okay. And was your direct supervisor at the scene?
He was.
And who was that?
Detective Steve Castro.
Showing you People's 7, page 10. Do you recognize what you see here?
I do.
And what is this?
It's an image of the driveway area of the residence at 5012 Queen Victoria.
And is this the way that the scene looked when you arrived?
The light that's shown in the, if I can use
Sure.
this.
The pointer?
Yes. Yes. The light that's right here in the photograph on the left-hand side in the middle of the image, that wasn't there. A unit showed up and provided lighting. But other than that, yes, that's how it looked.
Okay. And is it typical that when homicide detectives arrive at a scene such as this, that notifications are made to various individuals or departments within LA County?
I object what's typical, Your Honor.
So rule it has happened.
Yes.
And standard procedure would be to notify who on a scene such as this?
Well, there'd be multiple notifications, but one would be the coroner's office for sure, and then additional resources from our own department in the form of scientific investigations division, and whatever we decide we need.
Scientific Investigations Division, meaning SID, what the crime lab was at that point in time.
Yes. Photographs. Yes.
And would that also include things such as alternate light sources?
Yes, it could.
And is it also standard procedure that any individuals at the scene would be removed from the scene prior to your examination of the scene?
That's correct.
And that crime scene tape would be placed up?
Yes.
Such as what we see here in this exhibit 7, People 7, page 10.
Correct.
Now, when you got to the scene, what was the first thing that needed to be done?
Well, the first thing that we did, we got a briefing by the officers that were present at the scene.
Okay.
We were advised at one point, and I don't recall who got the information, but we were advised that the house had not been cleared.
What does that mean?
Meaning that there had not been a thorough search of the property for additional suspects or victims. So that's what we did. We took that upon ourselves to make sure that was done.
Okay. And when you did a thorough clearing of the home, were you assisted by other officers or detectives?
Yes.
And were those the individuals that worked with you at Valley Bureau Homicide, including your partner?
Yes.
Along with Gabriel Gutierrez, Efren Gutierrez,
Yes.
and Gabriel Bucknell?
Yes.
Okay. And does that mean you go thoroughly room by room through the entire property?
That's correct.
Okay. Is there a purpose to doing that?
Yes. Again, it's to look for additional victims or suspects that might be present within the property. This is not a search for evidence or anything like that.
Okay. And was a search warrant obtained from a judge that night so that you could go through the property and collect any evidence that you deemed relevant?
Yes.
Okay. And by the time you got to the scene, although you told us that you did not arrive until 8:10, were you made aware that law enforcement had basically been on scene since around 5 p.m.?
Yes.
Okay. And did you receive a briefing from those officers that came from Devonshire and Topanga divisions?
Yes.
Were you made aware in terms of your subsequent investigation and how you conducted it that when the officers had initially arrived on scene that power had been turned off at the location?
Yes, that portions of the residents did not have power.
Okay. And as a result, were you also told that someone had turned back on some of the power to the home based on the sub-breaker box located in the garage?
I don't recall being told that there was power turned back on. My understanding it was left the way it was found.
Okay. And so there were some lights that were on in the home and some that were out. Is that correct?
Correct. Some of the house had power and some did not.
Based on the condition of that sub-breaker box in the garage?
Yes.
Showing you People 7, page 21. Is this something that you inspected yourself?
Yes.
And what did you determine with respect to your inspection?
That it's hard to see in the photograph because the shininess of it. But if you look at the bottom row, there is 7 breakers that are turned off. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The 8th is in an on position.
Okay. And so this breaker box, where was this located?
In the garage.
Just outside the door leading to the kitchen?
Correct.
And when you got to the scene, was the black Ford F-150 pickup truck that we see depicted here in People 7, page 11. Let me see if I can focus this. Was it already in the position that we see here?
It was.
Okay. And were the doors, the doors to the double parking area of the garage open as we see depicted in this photograph as well?
Yes, the 2-car garage door was open. The single-car garage door was closed.
And that's the one that we see closed just to the right of the open double garage area?
Correct.
Okay. Showing you People 7, page 12. Do you recognize what you see here?
Yes.
And what is this depict in these 4 photographs?
It's a black Ford F-150 pickup truck. This is a vehicle that was owned by the Sementillis.
Showing you People 7, page 69. Do you recognize what you see here?
Yes.
And what is that?
It's the front door of the residence.
Okay. look through the window to the left of the front door, does that depict the staircase that leads to the second level?
Yes.
Now, in terms of this location, the Sementilli residence and where it's located, can you describe for us what we see here in People's Exhibit 9, page 3?
Yeah. So Oakdale Avenue, if you come south from Ventura Boulevard, this is going south here, you could make a eastbound turn on Queen Victoria, and the house would be the second house in on the left,
Okay.
on the north side of the street.
And at the intersection where Oakdale Avenue meets Queen Victoria, was there a neighborhood surveillance camera at that location?
There was.
Okay. And looking at this exhibit, does this appear to be an aerial view of the Sementilli residence, including the pool behind it?
Yes.
Showing you People's 9, page 7. Again, is this an aerial view of the residence, including the pool area?
It is, and it's the complete 180 orientation of the photo we just saw, essentially.
Of the one that we saw in Exhibit 9,
Correct.
page 3. Okay. And showing you People's 9, page 14, does this appear to be an aerial view of the backyard area?
Yes.
Okay. Showing you People's Exhibit 9, page 15, does this appear to be, again, a view of the backyard at this point taken from near the covered patio area looking towards the back of the pool area?
It does.
Now, along this back area that I'm pointing to the top of the photograph, is there like a ravine behind this house area?
Yeah, there was a set of stairs. You obviously can't see it in this photograph, but if you were to go around this corner of the house and go down, I don't know, probably about 40 feet or so, there was a set of stairs that went down to an area that was, we can call it a ravine, I guess.
And if you were to go around the back side of the home, where I'm pointing here, towards the right along the residence, would there be a pathway that leads you to the 3 bedrooms that were on the first level of the home?
Yes, there was a walkway behind the house.
When you arrived, did your division take over control of this particular scene?
Yes.
And so then, based on what we were talking about a few moments ago in terms of the standard notifications, was it the responsibility of you and your unit to make the appropriate notifications to, let's say, the coroner's department and the crime lab?
Yes.
When you arrived on scene, was the fire department, in terms of the paramedics, including paramedic Lou and Yoshihashi, still on scene?
Yes.
And did you speak with them?
I don't recall.
Were you on scene when coroner personnel came to the scene?
Yes.
And typically, as in this case, when you call the coroner's department or the office of the LA County Medical Examiner, are you provided with a unique coroner's case number for this particular case?
Yes.
And was that received in this case?
It was.
And is that coroner case 2017-00688?
I believe so.
And as we spoke about earlier with respect to the divisional report number, where you indicated case numbers are assigned sequentially, is that also the case with the coroner's case number that you get assigned?
Yes.
And when the coroner's personnel arrived on scene, were you present when they moved the body of Fabio Sementilli onto some clean plastic sheeting onto his back so they could examine the decedent?
Yes.
And what, if anything, did you notice at that point in time?
He had multiple sharp force injuries on his body.
Okay. And did you note specifically to what particular areas at that time?
Yes, chest and neck area.
And were you also on scene when the crime lab personnel arrived?
Yes.
Did that include Corey Hawk and her partner?
Yes.
And did that also include a forensic photographer?
Yes.
And did that also include people from Leighton Prince?
I believe so.
Was a weapon recovered at the crime scene that you believe to be used in this particular murder?
No.
Was a crisis response team also called out to the scene?
They were.
And when the crisis response team arrived, were they directed to a particular location?
Yes.
And where was that?
It was across the street from the location.
And why were they directed across the street?
The family members were there, including Monica and the two daughters.
When you say Monica, are you referring to the defendant?
Yes.
Do you see her here in court today?
I do.
And did you have a conversation with her on the night of January 23rd of 2017?
Yes.
And can you identify her, please?
Yeah, she's still seated to my left, blue blazer, white shirt.
Thank you. And that night across the street, other than the defendant, did you speak to anybody else?
Yes, the two daughters.
When you spoke with the defendant, where did that take place?
It was inside of a residence across the street.
Okay. And was she by herself at that point?
During the interview?
Yes.
I believe there was a crisis response person that was with her.
Okay. And besides you, was there anybody else?
Detective Marshall, yes.
And you indicated that you also spoke with the daughters that night, is that right?
Correct.
Showing you what's been marked as People's 12, number 28. Do you recognize who you see here?
Yes.
And who is that?
Isabella Sementilli?
And did she identify her vehicle at the location that night?
Yes.
Showing you People's 7, page 8. Do you recognize what you see here?
It's a red Fiat?
Okay. And did she identify this as her vehicle?
Yes, the vehicle she was driving that day, yes.
Okay. And where was that parked in relation to the house, the Sementilli house?
I believe it was on the street, just to the west of the actual driveway.
As we see here, if we look at the photograph to the top left, looking just to the left of the car and above it, would that be the alternate light source that we looked at a few moments ago coming from the house?
I believe so.
Showing you People's 11, page 25. Do you recognize this individual?
Yes.
And who is that?
Jessica Sementilli.
Was that the other daughter that you spoke to that night?
The older of the two daughters, yes.
Okay. And did she also identify her vehicle at the scene that night?
Yes.
And did she point out to you what we see here in People's 7, page 9, this red Mustang?
Yes.
Okay. And was that also parked along the street area?
It was. Yes.
And what does this depict?
It's a floor plan of the residence.
Okay. And where is the front entrance?
Go back to the pointer here. The actual front door is right here, kind of center of the screen.
Okay. And the diagram, the area that I'm pointing to right here, does this depict the location of the black Ford F-150 as it was parked that night?
Approximately, yes.
Okay. So it was basically in front of the home.
Yes.
When you enter the home, if you were to go to your right, where does that lead you to?
If you were to go to your right, it's actually more of a button hook. It would lead you down towards the master bedroom, and if you made a quick left, you would go up towards the other bedrooms that were connected via Jack and Jill bathroom.
Okay. And that's what's depicted here where I'm pointing?
Yes.
Okay. And if you, as you said, if you were to do the button hook, that would lead you into the master suite?
Yes.
Okay. And if you were to enter the residence and go to the left, was there also a powder room or a small bathroom off that hallway to the left?
I think you mean if you went to the right.
Sorry, yes, right,
yes.
and then to the left.
Correct. It's right here on the image, center towards the upper part of the picture.
And if you were to follow this entryway from the front door straight forward, would that lead you into the joined living room area as well as the dining room?
Yes, it was like one big long room that contained the kitchen, dining room, and living room.
And all along where I'm pointing, this back wall here, were those windows that looked out onto the patio area and the pool?
Yes.
And from that area, could you see, depending on where you were, if you were in this area here, the covered patio area where the victim was, as indicated with an X and the word victim, the bottom left corner?
Exactly how you described it, depending on which angle you were standing at.
Okay. Showing you People 7, page 2. Do you recognize what you see here?
Yes.
And what is that?
This is the second story of the residence.
Okay. And did you find anything of value, evidentiary-wise, that was relevant to your investigation at that point on the second level of the Sementilli home?
We did not.
Do you want me to continue now, or do you want to stop at this point?
Between now and 3 minutes, I don't think there'd be enough time for you, so we'll take our adjournment this time, till tomorrow at 9 o'clock. A couple things I want to tell you. One is the admonition, as always, not to discuss this case either among yourselves or with anyone else, or form or express any opinion until the cause is finally submitted to you. Next, I can see how this case is going, and I'm going to tell you it's going somewhat quick, and I'm going to make a promise. This is a promise from me to you. I promise you, this case will be over no later than Christmas. Have a good night. See you tomorrow at 9 o'clock.